guys, welcome back to another video. So this is a new style of video that I want to do on my channel where every single quarter, so like every 3 months, I give you guys my most anticipated books, things that are coming out in the next couple of months that you can put on your TBR. If you're not the type of person to normally kind of look things up ahead of time, this is a video that's going to help you put books on your radar, basically. I have a little list of the ones that I am most excited for personally. So if you're new to my channel, I read mostly lit fic with kind of darker, heavier themes, or at least that's what Storygraph tells me. I read mostly contemporary. I'm also doing a reading around the world challenge though, so most of those titles are backlist titles, so I'm not always reading new things. I love kind of darker speculative fiction, fantasy, but not high fantasy, so things with maybe a body horror element to them. So dark lit fic is probably the easiest way to explain my reading taste. So we're gonna start with January. I have a few, 4 for January, 1 for February, and then 3 for March. But let's start with what is coming out very, very soon. One that I feel like I've been waiting for a really long time, because I feel like Grady Hendrix hasn't come out with anything really all that recently. Witchcraft for Wayward Girls comes out January 14th, so very soon. If you don't know anything about Hendrix, he's pretty creative. He normally does horror, so it seems like we're gonna continue with that, but maybe take a slightly more suspenseful kind of gothic sidestep. So this one says, they call them wayward girls, loose girls, girls who grew up too fast, and they're sent to Wellwood House in St. Augustine, Florida, where unwed mothers are hidden by their families to have their babies in secret, give them up for adoption, and most important of all, forget any of it ever happened. 15-year-old Fern, love that name, arrives at the home in the sweltering summer of 1970. She's pregnant, she's terrified, and all alone. Under the watchful eye of the stern Miss Wellwood, she meets a dozen other girls in the same predicament. There's Rose, a hippie who insists she's going to find a way to keep her baby and escape to a commune. Of course there has to be a commune because it's the 70s. And Xenia, a budding musician who plans to marry her baby's father. And Holly, a wisp of a girl barely 14, mute and pregnant by no one knows who. Everything the girls eat, every moment of their waking day, and everything they're allowed to talk about is strictly controlled by adults who claim they know what's best for them. Then Fern meets a librarian who gives her an occult book about witchcraft, and power is in the hands of the girls for the first time in their lives. But power can destroy as easily as it creates, and it's never given freely. There's always a price to be paid, and it's usually paid in blood. I think I'm too excited to wait, but this would be a really good one to read during Halloween. Sometimes I will hoard all of the books that have a horror bent to them and kind of save them all up in October and then just gobble them all up really fast in October, but I don't know that I want to wait. So I am probably going to read this one when it comes out. Then the next one is a fairy tale contemporary fantasy. It almost looks a little bit sci-fi-esque from the cover. This is Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yambao. I could definitely be saying her name wrong. This one is supposed to be kind of reminiscent of The Starless Sea, which I haven't read, but I always hear good things about. It's a cozy fantasy, I'm pretty sure, which the cover does not make me think cozy fantasy. It doesn't scream that. It screams more like sci-fi to me. But anyway, let's read what this one is about. It is about a woman who inherits a pawn shop where you can sell your regrets, and then embarks on a magical quest when a charming young physicist wanders into the shop in this dreamlike fantasy novel. On a back street in Tokyo lies a pawn shop, but not everyone can find it. Most will see a cozy ramen restaurant, and only the chosen ones, those who are lost, will find a place to pawn their life choices and deepest regrets. Hana Ishikawa wakes on her first morning as the pawn shop's new owner to find it ransacked, the shop's most precious acquisition stolen, and her father missing. Then into the shop stumbles a charming stranger, quite unlike its other customers, for he offers help instead of seeking it. Together they must journey through a mystical world to find Hannah's father, Hannah? I don't know. And the stolen choice by way of rain puddles, rides on paper cranes, the bridge between midnight and morning, and a night market in the clouds. But as they get closer to the truth, Hannah must reveal a secret of her own and risk making a choice that she will never be able to take back. It sounds so good. I'm not gonna say I love magical realism, which is what this sounds like, where it's they're journeying through a mystical world. They travel through rain puddles and they ride on paper cranes. Some of that can kind of, like, I really have to stretch my imagination. But it sounds like so much fun. Like, what a ride. This one also comes out January 14th, so very soon. People are comparing this one to Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I have not read those books. Is it a duology, I think, or a trilogy, something like that. But it's being compared to those, so. And I know a lot of people really liked those. Okay, the next one. It really sounds like it's gonna be right up my alley because I do like a romance every now and then. I'm not against romances, but sometimes they just need a little bit more to them. They need a little bit something like extra. And this one sounds like it's gonna kind of turn the romance genre on its head a little bit. It's called Unromance, and it's by Erin Connor. This one also comes out January 14th. It already has a 4.26 on Goodreads, I guess from people getting ARCs. It's a contemporary adult romance. It says holiday, so I don't know, but it doesn't look Christmassy. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like New Year's holiday or Christmas. I'm not sure. Oh, it does say Christmas. Okay. Why would you not publish it until after Christmas though? I feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity. This one says, Sawyer Green knows romance. She's a best-selling author of the genre. Or she was, until her college girlfriend left her with nothing but writer's block and bitterness. So when Sawyer gets stuck in an elevator with a handsome stranger, she sees it for what it is. Not a meet cute, but a chance encounter with a charming man whom she will sleep with exactly once and go on her way. Easy enough until she runs into him again at a Christmas market straight out of a Hallmark holiday movie. So it sounds like it may be sort of a grumpy sunshine, like she's down on her luck, she's just been broken up with, she's bitter, like it literally says that she's bitter. So I think it's probably gonna be like she just refuses to accept this sort of like Hallmarkness of what's happening. Like I'm hoping that it kind of makes fun of some of the tropes that we see in romance, because sometimes, I mean, I know people love cringe, and sometimes you read a book, like a romance book, just because it's bad, and just because it is so cringe, because it's so fun to like laugh at, basically. But I'm kind of hoping that this one kind of turns that on its head, maybe makes fun of some tropes. This next one comes out at the very end of January. In fact, the date says January 30th on Goodreads, but Spotify says like February 4th. So it may be, for whatever reason, a couple days later that the audiobook comes out. This one is another horror book. So again, I think I'm gonna be too excited to wait for this one. Who knows? Maybe I'll push it into October, but I feel like that's a long time to wait. This one is like an adult, queer, literary fiction, thriller, folktale. People are comparing this one to Sophie McIntosh, Angela Carter, and Julia Armfield. The Julia Armfield reference definitely hooked me in because I love her. She's one of my favorites. She does like kind of subtle body horror really well. This one says it's a gripping, sinister, did I say what it's called? It's called The Lamb. I don't think I said what it was called. By Lucy Rose. It's a gripping, sinister folktale set in contemporary Cumbria. It's also supposed to be kind of a love story. So I love like a horror love story. That was kind of what happened with Fragile Animals. I read this one last year in October. It's like a vampire story. The vampire in this is like not sexy. He's like an old, gross, dirty vampire, but it's still a love story. So I thought that was kind of like a very refreshing take. So let's read about this one. Margot and Mama have lived by the forest since Margot can remember. When Margot is not at school, they spend quiet days together in their cottage, waiting for strangers to knock on their door. Strays, Mama calls them. Mama loves the strays. She feeds them wine, keeps them warm. Then she satisfies her burning appetite by picking apart their bodies. Okay, so we're not beating around the bush here. We're getting right into it. Okay, so it sounds like Mama maybe is a worker, but also a vampire, so I'm very intrigued now. Mama's want is stronger than her hunger sometimes, and when a white-toothed stray named Eden turns up in the heart of a snowstorm, little Margot must confront the shifting dynamics of her family, untangle her own desires, and make her own bid for freedom. With this gothic coming-of-age tale, debut novelist Lucy Rose explores how women swallow their anger, desire, and animal instincts, and wrings the relationship between mother and daughter until blood drips from it. Okay, so we have a mommy-daughter kind of situation happening. I love that it sounds like it's going to be a book about female rage. I feel like that is a whole genre. I have watched several videos on YouTube of people just reviewing books that they've read that like fall into the female rage sort of subgenre or subcategory. So this one sounds like a coming of rage, if you will. I've heard that turn of phrase used for a couple books that are like this. So yes, I love this one. Okay, now we are moving into February. I don't have anything on here that is particularly romancy. I know February is like Valentine's Day. I only have one for February that I am super interested in. It sounds like it's going to be really good. I've seen a couple of different covers actually. This one is expected to come out February 13th. Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This is a queer gothic novel, so we have vampires. That is what Goodreads is telling me anyway. It has a 4.2 already on Goodreads, so we're looking good. This one says, Lenore is the wife of steel magnate Henry, but 10 years into their marriage, the relationship has soured and no child has arrived to fill the distance growing between them. Henry's ambitions take them from London to Sheffield, and with his success hinged on a hunt, an old tradition looms over the home. The hunt is a time to settle old scores. If a bullet finds a human home, then it's only that they were foolish to become prey. Okay. In the weeks leading up to the hunt, a carriage accident near their remote home brings the mysterious Carmilla, into Lenore's life. Carmilla, who is weak and pale during the day but vibrant at night. Carmilla, who will not eat meals with the family. Carmilla, who stirs up a hunger deep within Lenore. Soon, girls from local villages begin to fall sick before being consumed by a terrible hunger. Okay, so this is very much a feminist, it says a feminist reworking, so not a retelling but a reworking of Carmilla. I think I read it for my not dissertation. It's kind of like a dissertation. It was called a capstone project. I did that when I graduated college. It was the Monstrous Feminine was my capstone project, and it was all about like gothic literature, female vampires, and all of the subtext and the metaphors and everything that society loves to say about women through female vampires and gothic literature. So I'm pretty sure I have read it. It's been too long for me to really fully remember the story. So this will be interesting. I feel like you don't probably really need like a full grasp of that story to read Hungerstone, because it's a pretty straightforward story. But I am excited to read something that's kind of a retelling or a reworking, kind of like a contemporary version. And Carmilla originally came out in 1872. So I assume we are in the 1800s for sure, possibly the late 1800s. So that's Hungerstone. Okay, now we are in March, so we are getting through these pretty quickly. March 4th, we have a book that Goodreads is saying is a cross between The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and This Is How You Lose the Time War. Both of those are on my TBR. I have a ever-growing, this is my current physical TBR, and then I have a whole bunch that are audiobooks that I have saved on Spotify, so this is not even everything. So it's, it's a good problem to have. The book in question is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. It says it's a fantastical love story that defies death as two souls reincarnate through the centuries. They've loved each other in 1,000 lifetimes. They've killed each other in every one. Okay, so we're off to a little bit of a dark start. This is technically a young adult romantasy. The cover to me does not look young adult at all. I feel like they're definitely trying to kind of maybe market this a little bit more like new adult or like for older young adults. So I'm hoping the language is, because I'm usually disappointed when I read young adults nowadays. As a 31-year-old, I'm not exactly the target audience anymore, so sometimes it's very difficult to get through them. Evelyn remembers all her past lives. She also remembers that in every single one she's been murdered before her 18th birthday by Arden, a supernatural being whose soul and survival is tethered to hers. The problem is that she's quite fond of the life she's in now, and her little sister needs her for bone marrow transplants in order to stay alive. If Evelyn wants to save her sister, she'll have to, number one, find the centuries-old devil who hunts her through each life before they find her first. 2, figure out why she's being hunted and finally break their curse. 3, try not to fall in love. So I'm gonna make a guess right now that history probably repeats itself. Arden catches up to her, they fall in love, of course, but then I'm just gonna assume she probably breaks the curse. This one, honestly, it's 350 pages. I might wait. I mean, it has a 4.3 currently on Goodreads with 692 ratings, but I don't know. I might wait until it like properly comes out because that star rating might shift a little bit. So I do want to wait and see what people say about the writing. If it feels kind of like young adult, I'm probably not going to enjoy it very much. This next one is, I thought possibly YA because of the cover, but I'm looking on here now and it does say, and it's an adult fantasy romance. So it's got demons, witches, mythology. It is a high fantasy, so I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that. And it is the first in a series, so not totally sure. But this is Exquisite Ruin by Adrienne May. It says it's a darkly romantic reimagining of the Minotaur myth, which I'm not familiar with, but sounds really cool. A sorceress and a demon are entwined in sensual battle to escape a deadly maze and reclaim their freedom. Sadare, is that how we're gonna say that name? Not totally sure. Sadare wakes in a labyrinth, remembering nothing except that she is a powerful sorceress. Her only companion is a hostile immortal named Desra. Beautiful, dangerous, and demonic, who bound his divine soul for power and revenge. Oh, it's a boy. Okay, I thought it ended with an A, so I was thinking it was a woman. Okay. Despite their animosity, the two have no choice but to work together to reach the center and defeat the monster who prevents their escape. But the longer they wander, the more deadly and alive the maze becomes, and the more Sadare finds herself drawn to Desra in ways she can't explain. Hopefully this book has a little cheat sheet pronunciation guide at the beginning, because I hate reading a book where you have no idea if you're saying the main character's names right. As sorceress and demon develop a tenuous truce, the labyrinth gives Sadare glimpses of their shared history of passion and pain that make her question everything she knows. Unlocking the secrets of her past may be the only way to survive and heal their entwined fates, but as she learns more about the betrayals that brought them to the labyrinth, Sadare begins to fear that the monster at the center could be Desra, or even herself. It reminds me a little bit of Harry Potter, the maze in Harry Potter. That's kind of fun. This idea of it like sort of becoming alive the closer they get to the center. That's a really cool concept. And it's like, I also like, you know, the closer they get to the physical center or heart of the maze, the closer they're getting to uncovering truths about each other. I always like when there's something tangible and physical reflected in the world that is like mirroring how, like, the relationship of the book and like how the characters are feeling. That's Exquisite Ruin, March 25th for this one. And then the last one that I'm really excited for, this one comes out March 25th as well. This one is another like gothic vampire adult fantasy. This is Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna van Veen. It says we are in the Netherlands and it's 1887. So another kind of like 1800s vampire book. Lucy's twin sister Sarah is unwell. She refuses to eat, mumbles nonsensically, and is increasingly obsessed with a centuries-old corpse recently discovered on her husband's grand estate. Lovely. The doctor has diagnosed her with temporary insanity caused by a fever of the brain. To protect her twin from a terrible fate in a lunatic asylum, Lucy must unravel the mystery surrounding her sister's condition, but it's clear her twin is hiding something. Then again, Lucy is harboring secrets of her own too. Then the worst happens. Sarah's behavior takes a turn for the strange. She becomes angry and hungry. Lucy soon comes to suspect that something is trying to possess her beloved sister, or is it madness? As Sarah changes before her very eyes, Lucy must reckon with the dark, monstrous truth or risk losing her forever. So she's potentially being not possessed by a vampire, but like kind of preyed upon by a vampire. Or no, she's becoming a vampire because it says she becomes hungry. So she's probably going to be turned into a vampire, we assume. So maybe a little bit predictable already. I mean, the title is literally Blood on Her Tongue. So we can assume she gets turned into a vampire. Hopefully that happens fairly early on. That way it's not too like predictable and you're waiting around for a twist that you know is likely to happen. It says it references Dracula. Okay, we assume that pretty clearly because of the name of one of the characters being Lucy, so I kind of already had that in the back of my mind. Let me finish. No. Alrighty guys, that is everything. Honestly, not that many books when you consider how many books are coming out in the next couple of months, but those are the ones that I am most excited for and sound just really good. So If you're coming at this video like after all of these books are out, let me know what you thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will do another one of these in April and let you know what I'm really excited for and what's coming out in April, May, and June. So I will see you then. Bye guys.